There are Ram trucks sitting in driveways right now with engines that are weeks away from total destruction. The owners have absolutely no idea. They are driving to work, hauling loads, living their lives, while their Hemi is sending them 7 very specific distress signals they do not know how to read. By the time the check engine light finally shows up, the damage is already done. We are talking $9,000 to $12,000 in repairs. Sometimes more than the truck is even worth. These 7 warning signs are what you need to know before that bill lands in your lap. Hi, my name is Travis, and this is Ram Car Clues. Sign number 1, the tick that will not quit. Every Hemi ticks. I want to get that out of the way right now because if you own a 5.7 and you have never heard a tick at cold start, you either just bought the truck or you have been running it with the radio way too loud. A cold start tick on a Hemi is as normal as a rooster crowing in the morning. It shows up, it clears out in 30 to 60 seconds, and you never hear it again until the next cold start. That tick is just the exhaust manifold bolts doing their thing. Annoying? Yes. Dangerous on its own? Not immediately. Here is the tick you need to worry about. The tick that is still there after the engine is fully warm. You have been driving for 20 minutes. The temperature gauge is sitting right where it always sits. You roll the windows down at a red light, and you can still hear it. Tick, tick, tick. Coming from the passenger side of the engine. That is not exhaust manifolds anymore. That is your lifters. The 5.7 Hemi has a documented lifter failure problem that the industry has known about since roughly the mid-2000s. The MDS cylinder deactivation system relies on the lifters to physically collapse when 4 cylinders shut down. Those lifters have small needle bearings inside them. Over time, those bearings wear down, seize up, and start grinding against the camshaft. Once that grinding starts, metal shavings go into the oil. And once metal is in your oil, it circulates everywhere. Your bearings, your oil pump, your journals. Everything downstream gets contaminated. A customer once brought a truck in with exactly this tick at 70,000 miles. He had been living with it for 3 weeks because he said it did not seem that bad. By the time it came off the lift, the cam was scored, 2 lifter bores were damaged, and metal was throughout the entire lubrication system. The repair estimate was $11,200. The truck was worth $14,000. If your tick stays warm, stop driving the truck. Get it diagnosed immediately. Do not convince yourself it is fine because it sounds small. Small is how it always starts. Sign number 2, oil consumption between changes. Pop the hood on your Ram a week after an oil change and check the dipstick. If you are already down a quarter quart, pay attention. If you are down half a quart or more in under 1,000 miles, you have a problem that your engine is not going to announce with a warning light. It is just going to quietly starve itself until something catastrophic happens. The Hemi is not known for being a thirsty engine under normal circumstances. A healthy 5.7 should not be burning oil at any meaningful rate between changes, so when it starts disappearing, there are really only a few explanations: worn valve stem seals, worn piston rings, or the early stages of a head gasket issue. None of those are cheap. None of those get better on their own. Here is the part that catches people off guard. When your engine is low on oil, the first components to suffer are the ones farthest from the oil pump. Take a look under the valve covers of a Hemi sometime and appreciate how far that oil has to travel from the bottom of the engine all the way up to the lifters and cam at the top. When oil level drops even a quart, that journey gets harder. Flow slows down. The lifters start running lean on lubrication. And we already talked about what happens to lifters that run lean. Check your oil every 2 weeks. Not every oil change, every 2 weeks. Mark the level on a piece of tape on your windshield if you have to. I know a guy who tracked his consumption in a notes app on his phone for 6 months. He caught a developing ring seal issue for under $2,000 before it turned into something that would have totaled the engine. $2,000 versus $11,000. That is the difference between checking your dipstick and not checking your dipstick. If you are losing more than a quart every 2,000 miles, get a compression test done. That will tell you whether you are dealing with valve seals or rings, and it will tell you fast. Sign number 3. The surge or stumble at cruise speed. You are on the highway. Speed is steady. Everything feels normal. And then, the truck does this weird little lurch, almost like someone tapped the brakes for half a second, and then it is gone. You look around, check the mirrors, maybe glance at your phone to see if you hit something. Nothing. The truck feels fine again, so you forget about it. Do not forget about it. That stumble at cruise speed is almost always the MDS system transitioning in and out of 4-cylinder mode. When it does not transition cleanly, what you are feeling is a cylinder that is either firing late, firing weak, or not firing at all for a moment. That is a misfire. Misfires at highway speed dump raw fuel into your exhaust, overheat your catalytic converter, and put mechanical stress on engine components that were not designed to handle uneven combustion events. The 5.7 Hemi transitions between 8-cylinder and 4-cylinder mode hundreds of times during a normal highway drive. Each transition is supposed to be seamless. When the lifters, or MDS solenoids, start wearing out, those transitions get sloppy. The computer might not even log a misfire code right away because each individual event is too brief to trigger the threshold. So you get no check engine light, no code, nothing to show a mechanic. Just a truck that lurches occasionally while the damage quietly accumulates. The fix is not complicated. Disable MDS. I have talked about the range technology MDS Manager on this channel before. It is about $100, plugs into your diagnostic port, and eliminates cylinder deactivation permanently. If you are already feeling the stumble, get the solenoids inspected before you spend that $100, because if they are already failing, disabling the system only stops further damage. It does not undo what is already done. Sign number 4. White or blue, smoke on cold start. Let us sort this out once and for all. There is a lot of confusion, and it costs people money when they panic over the wrong thing. White vapor on a cold start in cool weather is almost always just condensation burning off the exhaust system. It smells like nothing. It disappears in under a minute, and it means your truck is doing exactly what trucks do on a cold morning. That is not a problem. White smoke that keeps going after the engine is warm, or white smoke that has a sweet smell to it, is coolant. That means a head gasket is leaking combustion gases into the cooling system or coolant into the combustion chamber. Either way, that is an immediate stop driving situation. A neglected head gasket on a Hemi goes from a $2,000 repair to an $8,000 repair faster than most people expect. Blue smoke is oil. Blue smoke at any point. Cold start or warm. Is your engine telling you it is burning lubrication instead of just fuel? On a Hemi, blue smoke at cold start that clears up after a minute usually points to valve stem seals. Blue smoke under hard acceleration points to piston rings. Blue smoke at idle that does not clear up points to something more serious. Here is the easy test. Follow your ROM into a parking lot on a cold morning. Watch the exhaust the whole time. White vapor that vanishes in 30 seconds. You are fine. Anything that lingers, anything with color, anything with a smell, write it down, note when it happens, and get it in front of a mechanic with that information. The more specific you can be, the faster and cheaper the diagnosis. Sign number 5. A sudden drop in fuel economy. The 5.7 Hemi is never going to win any awards at the pump. We all know that going in, but there is a baseline. Your truck gets what it gets, and you know your average pretty well after a few months of ownership. When that number drops noticeably and nothing about your driving has changed, your engine is telling you something. A drop of 2 to 3 miles per gallon that appears suddenly and sticks around is one of the earliest warning signs of engine trouble that most owners completely ignore, because it does not feel like a mechanical problem. It feels like a gas price problem or a weather problem or a bad tank of fuel. So they fill up again and wait to see if it gets better. It does not get better. What causes it? A few things. Misfires, even small ones the computer has not logged yet. Failing oxygen sensors, giving the engine bad data and causing it to run rich. Carbon buildup on the intake valves, choking airflow, and forcing the engine to work harder for the same output. A failing thermostat, keeping the engine from reaching full operating temperature, which keeps the computer in open loop mode and dumps extra fuel in permanently. None of these are in your head. None of these fix themselves. And every one of them gets worse the longer you wait. Track your fuel economy every single fill-up. It takes 30 seconds and the math is not complicated. Miles driven divided by gallons pumped. Write it in the Notes app on your phone. If you see a consistent drop over 3 or 4 tanks in a row, that is not a coincidence. That is data. Bring that data to a mechanic and you will cut your diagnostic time in half. Sign number 6. Rough idle that clears up after warm-up. This one is sneaky. Honestly, this might be the most dangerous sign on the entire list because it feels so harmless. The truck starts up rough, shakes a little at idle, and maybe feels like it is running on 7 cylinders instead of 8. Then, 3 minutes later, it smooths right out and drives perfectly. So you assume it fixed itself and you move on with your day. Here is what is actually happening. A rough, cold idle that clears up after warm-up is almost always a sign that 1 or more cylinders are not firing properly until the engine reaches operating temperature. The 2 most common culprits on a Hemi are a failing MDS solenoid that is sticking on cold start, or a lifter that is not pumping up properly until the oil thins out with heat. Either one of those is a problem that is actively getting worse every single morning. The reason this sign is so dangerous is the timeline. In the early stages, the rough idle clears up in 2 or 3 minutes, and the truck runs fine all day. A month later, it takes 5 minutes to clear. 2 months later, it does not fully clear. By the time it stops clearing up, you are already looking at a repair bill that could have been a fraction of the cost if you had caught it at stage 1. I have seen this pattern play out more times than I can count. The owner always says the same thing. It was doing this for a while, but it always went away. Nothing always goes away forever. Pay attention to how long it takes to clear up and whether that time is getting longer. That trend tells you everything. Sign number 7. Metal particles in your oil. This is the one that ends the conversation. Everything else on this list is a warning. This one is an emergency. When you do your oil change, do not just drain the oil and move on. Catch some of the drain oil in a clean white container before it hits the pan. A disposable plastic cup works fine. Hold it up to the light. What you want to see: dark brown oil. What you do not want to see is anything that glitters. Metallic particles in your oil mean internal engine components are physically breaking down and circulating through your lubrication system. On a Hemi, this almost always means the lifters or camshaft have already started failing. And here is the brutal reality. By the time you can see metal in your oil with the naked eye, the damage is not in the early stages anymore. You are past the early stages. The magnetic drain plug trick is worth knowing. Some owners swap to a magnetic drain plug for about $15 to $20. Every oil change, you pull it out and wipe it clean with a white rag. A very faint gray smudge is normal. That is just normal microscopic wear that every engine produces. What is not normal is visible metal flakes, chunks, or a thick metallic paste on that plug. If you find metal, stop driving the truck. Seriously, every mile you drive with metal in your oil is another mile of that metal grinding through your bearings, your pump, your journals. You are turning a $9,000 repair into a $12,000 repair in real time. Pull the truck. Get an oil analysis done. Companies like Blackstone Laboratories will analyze your oil sample for about $30 and tell you exactly which metals are present and in what concentration. That information tells you precisely which components are failing before you spend $1 on repairs. Every single one of these signs has something in common. They all showed up before the engine failed, not after. The owners who caught them early paid $2,000. The owners who ignored them paid $11,000. And the really unlucky ones sold the truck for parts because the repair cost more than it was worth. Your Ram is not trying to hide these problems from you. It is telling you. You just have to know what to listen for. If this video helped you, hit subscribe. Every week on Ram Car Clues, I break down exactly what your truck is doing, why it is doing it, and what it is going to cost you if you ignore it. And if you want to go deeper on the MDS lifter problem specifically, I put together a full breakdown of the 5 factory settings that are quietly destroying Ram engines right now. That video is on screen. I will see you there.